Well, welcome everyone. Sue here from Women Living Well After 50, and it's Women's Health Week this week, 7th to the 11th, but we're actually going for the 30 days of health and wellness here at Women Living Well. So I'm going to be presenting different Facebook Live events, and we're starting off today with welcoming Peta Gillian from Strong Healthy Women again. And thank you for joining us, Peter.
Thank you, Sue. I said, just so the ladies all know, I just said every time I get on these things, I always feel like such a giant. I'm always like, and so I was busy trying to come down here.
I can never get the right height as well, so that's okay. Over the last few weeks, you and I have been talking about the 5 steps to essential steps to getting started to living an active and healthy lifestyle. Yeah. We actually finished that last week, and all the episodes are now up on the podcast. Great. The first 3 are. I'm spreading them out over the month of September, but the first 4 are up on YouTube as well. So I'd invite everybody to go and have a look at those or have a listen because they were really good, and we got a lot of information and value out of that. But today we might not be talking about exercise specifically. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that Peter suggested and I hadn't even thought of, but was a great one, and that's sleep. And really, I know myself, I'm not a good sleeper, and especially, if you're going through menopause or after menopause, sleep is really one of those symptoms that is sleep's affected by certain things, the hot flashes, or we have interrupted sleep, we can get insomnia, and that's not good for our health. It can have issues with our cardiovascular system, and also diabetes and other health issues. And, some people, mortality issues are there as well. So I think that a great topic for us to talk about today, Peter, because most of our listeners are in that category, and I know that you have a lot of ladies in the Strong Healthy Women community in that category as well. So sleep's a problem. And I'd like to hear from you what your thoughts are or what you've heard from other women in the community.
Look, Sue, I actually hear quite a lot how women don't sleep really well, and I think there's a number of reasons associated with sleeping. But firstly, I wanted to actually just get everybody to think about sleep in a different way, and that is to think about sleep like water. So water is something that is essential to our body, as is sleep. So it is super, super important that we get, that 7 to 8, even 9 hours sleep during the course of the night. And we want it to be quality sleep. But as I said, there's a lot of factors that can cause these sleep patterns to have diminished and are affecting how we're sleeping. So I'll wind the clock back a little bit, and for most of us, we've been mothers. We might even be carers of grandchildren now as well. And so what happens is when we're at that stage in our life, we automatically go into lighter sleep patterns. So, we're awake at the drop of a hat, and so we're up and about. And that pattern can stay with us, so we can sleep very lightly still and hear things that, our counterparts, the males, they're not going to hear those things going on in the house. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing, is that we can really take that learning and go, is this a habit that I've got into of sleeping lightly? That's the first part of it. Now, the next thing about it is that when we get into those menopausal years, leading up to and going through, and for some of us, 2% of us, we might still have those symptoms, for the rest of our lives. and you've mentioned these two things already, which is to have insomnia or to those hot flashes waking us up. And there are things you can do with the insomnia, and that's what I suffered from when I was going through menopause. I would go to sleep, but then I would wake, and I would wake, and I would wake, and I would wake. And I really did feel like a walking zombie during that time. But what I identified for myself personally was different foods were triggering that sleep, that waking pattern that was starting to happen in my life. So once I identified those foods, and it can be alcohol as well too, so it can be drinking, so of various forms, could be coffee as well, chocolate, all of those types of things. So they can certainly upset our sleep patterns as well. As far as the hot flashes are concerned, you know, you want to, if you can, have your room at that cool temperature that helps you get a good night's sleep. The other thing is you can get those pillows that what they do is they cool you as well. So you're looking at trying to bring that temperature down a little bit when you're getting those hot flashes. So one of the other things that happens is we have a thing called a circadian rhythm, which is our body clock. And so it triggers all these different things that happen, you know, when we go to the bathroom, when our blood pressure's at its highest point. And it's really about how we respond to the light and dark. And that's what this circadian rhythm really means. It's responding to light and dark. And so with the darkness, that's when our body is actually triggering to go to sleep. So it's around about, we're at our highest temperature. So I was alluding to this. At our highest temperature is generally around about that 5:30 p.m. in the evening. That's the ideal time to jump in the pool or to go and have a nice cool bath or shower and to wash away your day, because then that's sending the signals to your body that you're in the wind down process already and that you are ready to get prepared for sleeping. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole host of other things that go alongside of this as well too. So our normal circadian rhythm is around about that 9:30 p.m. mark. That's when we should start to feel drowsy. But what can happen is, and you've probably heard this before, the second wind. Have you heard that? Yes. Where you were feeling drowsy, where you're feeling drowsy earlier, and then all of a sudden you get this second wind. So what can happen is this thing called the sleep drive, which activates a neurotransmitter, and I won't give you the long name for it. So what happens is it can go up, which causes us to either want more sleep or to not want more sleep. And so what happens is the ideal sleeping time for us is around 8 hours, and we want to be awake for 16 hours. And so what can happen is if we've got up later and then we are super tired and we want to go to bed, what we'll find is we might wake up because we haven't actually had that 16 hours of wake time. So we can get these second winds where the body's telling us, well, hang on a minute, you haven't been awake for long enough and I need to be awake a bit more.
Well, I know for me, I will be on the couch watching TV or something, and my husband will be nudging me saying, you better go to bed because you're falling asleep. And I have. I've fallen asleep, you know, sitting up watching television. But then as soon as I go to bed, I will fall asleep for maybe 5 minutes and then I'm wide awake. And that's how it sort of, I probably do get some quality sleep during the night, but it's, to me, I just feel like I'm waking up all the time, and 4 o'clock every morning, that's it. I will wake up and I'll think to myself, oh, I've got nothing on tomorrow morning. I can have a sleep in. doesn't happen. I'm just awake. And then I'm also now these days, as soon as I'm awake, I have to get up. In the past, I was able to sort of maybe have a lay in, or even if I was awake. But now I just feel I have to get up and start the day. So yeah, it's a bit, and so sometimes by the end of the week, I'm really tired.
Yeah. One of the things that actually happens is, and our hormones go into chaos as well too during that menopausal stuff. And so it's two hormones in particular, the ghrelin and the leptin. So one controls how full we are, and the other one controls our cravings, for want of a better description. And so what happens is those two hormones being out of whack from lack of sleep, and it continues this process of not having enough sleep. And something as simple as only having 5 hours sleep for 5 nights in a row, what that's going to do is automatically increase your weight by about 800 grams in a week. Mm. So, and because of these hormones, what they're also doing then is triggering more cravings. So, you know, you're looking for the salty foods, the sweet foods, and then you create this pattern where I'm eating sweets, and then, oh, I've just finished eating that. Now I want something salty. Oh, hang on a minute, I've finished that salty thing. Now I want something sweet. So you end up in this cycle of continually eating. And so those cravings aren't such a good thing as either. One of the things, and it's cravings, is what we're talking about in my free group at the moment, all month. And I'm going to be doing a live and taking everyone through the 9 craving creators that you can have. I'm going to talk about how to crush those cravings. So that's a little side note from one of the things that happens through lack of sleep as well. The other thing that happens is because of those hormone imbalances, they trigger the fight, flight, freeze responses in the body as well too. And so it can think your body's in danger. And so therefore the stress levels go up, and that's a whole other topic in itself. And so when those stress levels go up, another hormone called cortisol goes up, and that then causes, thickening of the lining around the tummy area, and we feel bloated all the time. And so just that lack of sleep has such a big impact on our physical well-being, but also our mental well-being, because when we're not physically feeling good, then, that mentally drains us because we become worried about it. So, you were talking about this a second ago, where you go to bed and then what you do is you wake up. Mm. And so then you're probably in your head, you're going, oh, I wish I could go to sleep. Oh, why can't I go to sleep? I wish I could go to sleep. And you start to have those thoughts. And so now what you're doing is starting to elevate the stress levels in your body. So therefore it's not going to want to go to sleep because you're already elevated. And so there are things you can do to help yourself as far as sleep's concerned. The first thing is never fall asleep in front of the TV. Don't have a TV in your bedroom either.
No.
So sleeping is for sleeping. The bedroom is for sleeping. And so what you want to do is you want to try and get to bed, between that 9 and 10:30 p.m. mark. What you also want to do is make sure that whatever you've eaten and whatever you've drunk is at least about 3 to 4 hours before that sleep time. So which therefore means, somewhere around that 6:30 mark is around about the latest you want to be eating your dinner. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is your body needs the time to start digesting that food. Now, here's a little tip as far as digesting food as well too, is after you've eaten, ideally going for a nice just 20-minute walk. Doesn't have to be fast, just get yourself out and moving. If you can't do that, any time is better than no time at all, or just simply stand. So what you want to do is allow it to move through your body. Now, that's also going to help that sleep as well.
Yeah.
The next thing is to create some type of wind down process. That wind down process might look like, burning candles. So, it liven up all of your senses. So engage them all. So it could be candles, it could be a little bit of lavender in a bath water or in your shower. It could be that you put some music on, some deep sleep music that mimics the sleep patterns or what they call delta waves. So that can also help as well too. And something as simple as deep breathing, so inhale, exhaling out, can certainly help your nervous system start to relax. So if you've ever been into a supermarket and you know that there's something crazy going on and it's starting to make you feel agitated, it wouldn't matter where it is, and you're feeling agitated, you just stop yourself and just stand there and do these deep inhales in through your nose and then hold and then exhale out, and do around about 5 of them, and you'll find how automatically your nervous system starts to relax. And that can certainly help with your sleep as well.
Yeah, I usually try to do that as well. If my mind's starting to just take off again instead of settling down, and that's the thing too. You get into bed, and sometimes if you haven't debriefed properly from the day, you are thinking about things that happen, or you might be worrying about things that are going to happen tomorrow or whatever. So yes, I do try to do the breathing, because I find that does relax me and helps.
Yeah. The other thing is just with the bedroom itself, you want it to be dark, as I mentioned earlier. You want clean sheets. You want it to be a really nurturing environment for you. So you don't want to have a lot of clutter around. You want it to, fresh pillows. So if, for example, you haven't bought new pillows in about 2 years, then it's probably time to turf the pillows out and get yourself some new pillows. Fresh linen, all of those types of things. They can actually impact how you feel about sleeping as well. And I think the other critical thing, Sue, and you've mentioned this, is your thoughts. So you've got all these things going on in your head. Now, I'm a fan of journaling, and it might be something that people have never tried before, or it could be something that you put your hands up and go, oh, no, not doing that. So, if you're not sleeping well, then attempt it. Just give it a go, because you never know. It could be the thing that you need. And it doesn't matter what you write. Just get out of your head whatever thoughts you're actually having.
And I suppose also, you don't have to write war and peace either. It can just be, just the actual process of just writing down your thoughts or whatever comes in, or if you are concerned about something, just getting it down on the paper. And that's all you might need, because I think that some people feel that journaling is something where you've really got to dive deep and you've got to go for pages and all of that. And you sort of think, oh, I don't, can't go there. So it doesn't have to be that way, does it?
Oh, totally not. I mean, if anyone ever read some of my, scribblings, they'd go, was she on drugs or something? Because I'm sure it just totally would make no sense to anybody else other than me. I go to this tangent and then I go off to that tangent. But the thing I would add about journaling, when you've finished writing, it could just simply be a to-do list.
Yeah.
So get out what you want to do tomorrow. It could just be the to-do list. But what I want you to do at the end of that journal is to write something you're proud of that's just happened during the course of the day. So what that's doing is creating a positive thought in your mind that you're going to go to bed with.
Yeah, that's good. I know some people will write something that maybe 3 things they're grateful for, or
Yeah.
during the day. But I think rather than that is giving yourself a bit of a pat on the back and looking at what
Oh,
you did
totally.
well that day, because we're always so down on ourselves more than building ourselves up. And I think that sort of is really a good point, actually. I haven't thought about that before.
Because the thing is that we're not good at celebrating. So what we tend to do is just move to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So, and you know this because I've told you this, that, I've got the opportunity to write, to co-author. And it's something that I've always wanted to do, was to write, but I never thought that I would I would like to write a whole book at some point. But having that opportunity is great. And I got on a call with the other authors and, we were just talking about it. And both you and Sal asked me, how was it? And I went, oh, yeah, good. And Sal called me out on it and she said, well, you should be really excited. And I said, well, I am. That's not, I don't show that excitement that way. So the excitement is an internal thing for me. It's just that silly little grin that I get on my face and go, oh, this is pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So we all celebrate in different ways, and we aren't that good at it. And we should celebrate the smallest of small achievements. And we all have them during the course of the day. We all have them in moments during the day as well too. But we don't take that moment to go, oh, I did a good job there. And if you think about, and you might see some of these on YouTube or on the socials, you little girls, standing in front of the mirror going, I'm beautiful, you're great, I'm this, I'm that, and they're just celebrating themselves. And we've lost that ability to celebrate ourselves. And we need to just find that inner girl in ourselves and totally celebrate who we are. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you your opinion. You hear about, well, obviously, if you're not sleeping well, you can always go to the doctor, but medication is probably for me the last resort. But what about things like herbal type supplements, or I'm just trying to think of the one that they usually is it valerian, or they have different herbs that
melatonin.
What do you think of those?
Those things can still be a little bit addictive. And I know that I used a particular menopausal one when I was going through menopause. And it wasn't my doing. Paul just felt sorry for me. And he went out and got it for me. And so I tried it. And it definitely did have an impact. I definitely slept that little bit better. So certainly if you're just running around and you just feel like you need to get that good quality sleep, then, having it here and there is certainly not something that I would say don't do. And it's particularly good for jet lag, not that we're traveling at the moment, but it's particularly good for jet lag. So you use it to keep yourself so immediately when you turn up at the other country that's got a different, time zone to you. If you've arrived at daytime and it's nighttime back home and you're absolutely beat, you want to keep yourself up for as long as you possibly can. And then, just taking one of those little tablets to help yourself, as I said, they're natural. So help yourself get to sleep that night, and to help you sleep on the plane as well too, certainly helps you wake up totally refreshed and put you straight back to where you need to be. So I've never suffered from jet lag, and that's how I've always got around it. And so I know that some of our ladies, have ended up having like a whole entire week from coming back to their workouts because they're suffering from the jet lag because of the time zone differences. But it is just a matter of adapting those sleep patterns to wherever you happen to be as well. Yeah.
The other thing is that sleep apnea is an issue as well, and that's something that we don't even really know we have sometimes. I know, we joke and say it's always the man that snores, but which is a symptom of, a sort of sleep apnea. But I know my husband will sometimes say, "Roll over, you're snoring," and and he'll just gently turn me over, but and then he says, "Oh, you just go off to sleep then." But that's something that we probably need to think about, and not, like you laugh it off, who snores and who doesn't, but it can be a health issue, can't it?
Oh, it certainly can be. I mean, I know for me, I will snore. I snore when I'm just exhausted. And it may be one night out of a goodness knows how many. I can't remember the last time that I actually snored. So that's the other thing about it, Sue. If you are sleeping with somebody else, their sleep patterns can definitely be affecting yours. I mean, I know for Paul and I, we now sleep in separate rooms because he has so much going on, and he has very disrupted sleep patterns, and his mind is going 100 miles an hour, and he's talking and sometimes yelling and carrying on. And that was affecting my sleep, and I just went, I can't sleep here anymore. And, I sleep in my own room, which is lovely. I get the whole bed. I can spread out. I don't have to share it with anybody. Animals, they say, can also play havoc with your sleep as well too. So if you're not having good sleep and you've got like a cat or dog on the bed, one of the things that you might consider doing is, putting them out of the bedroom for a couple of nights to see whether you sleep better as well.
Yes, I know that we did what you and Paul did before we moved to the coast. There was, we got to the stage where we just slept in separate rooms so that we could both get a good night's sleep, really, because if it wasn't one or the other, and, Mike has certain issues and health issues and so forth, and so, that would be affecting my sleep, and and it used to be one of us would go into the other room, and then we just said, "Oh, look, you have that one and I'll have this." But now that we're down the coast, we're in the same room. But being with someone else can certainly affect you. So
totally.
So for someone who is, we're not getting sleep. Well, when's the best time to exercise? That's the other thing. Some people say you shouldn't exercise in the afternoon or, after a certain time because you won't sleep, or, you should. What's your view on that? Okay.
The first thing that I will say about exercise and sleep is that if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to feel like exercising. That's first and foremost. So if you're someone who feels like you're lacking in motivation, it could be that you're not getting enough sleep. So once you can sort out your sleep, then what will happen is you'll feel more motivated to exercise. That's the first thing about it. I mean, exercise will definitely set up your day, but doing it first thing in the morning. You may not feel like doing it first thing in the morning, but it is definitely the ideal time to exercise because it's done. What can happen is if you leave it till later in the day, life happens, things change, and then what goes on is the first thing that'll slip is the exercise routine. Now, ironically, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon when you're at your highest energy level, which is really interesting. So I would be interested to know how many of the ladies feel like they've got heaps of energy at 5 p.m. Maybe some, maybe not. I don't know. But that's according to your circadian rhythm. That's when we have our most energy. We actually do have a workout session running at that time in the afternoon in our virtual studio. Yeah. And we have quite a number of ladies that come to that session because they go to work and they come home because they prefer to have a more leisurely start to the morning. So they've still got time at that time of day to allow that exercise to have some benefit to them, as well as then still get their dinner in at a certain time and be able to allow their body to recover before they go to sleep. So you don't want to be doing, you don't want to be doing that exercise, some type of HIIT session or something like that just before you go to bed. It's just not going to work. No, because it gets you all,
I always feel energized after a session. So it would be, and it's the same if you go out, and if we go out, for example, if you go to a concert or something like that, you mightn't get home till midnight and you're on, you're still on a high from the concert. And it can take you a long time to slow down, to come down to earth, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, look, that's all to do with the lights as well too, Sue. So it's that that circadian rhythm I was talking about. So because we've probably been in fluorescent lights, we've been in the car, we're probably driving, so there's lots of lights around us. So the first thing you can do is actually turn the lights down, have a lamp on instead. So that could also be part of your wind down process, is to, create an environment where your body starts to know that it is time to go to sleep. That can also help. Yeah.
Well, I know that my daughter has, for both of her sons, she has had a bedtime routine, and they stick to that, and they go off with no problem. But, like, for example, it'll be a story, a few little songs, it's calming down time, that sort of thing. Yeah. And then she might sing them a lullaby and they go into bed no problem. And even the oldest one, who's at school now, he'll do his reading and that sort of thing. And they have that, they have the bath, so it's a ritual that they do. And I think that you've always promoted that as well, having that evening ritual of just closing down for the day. And I think that would help with sleep as well.
Oh, it's totally, it's a wind down process. And if you think about it, it's what you did as a child, and you slept like a baby. And so what you want to do is go back to those routines. And it was something I was talking about the other day, was that one of the things that I identified about myself was, I was about 11 or 12 and I got this little tiny transistor radio for my birthday. And I would put my little earbuds in and I would listen to, my favorite music, and I would go off to sleep, going into those teenage years and through those teenage years. That's when your hormones are playing up as well too.
Yeah.
So it could possibly just be the music that you need to get yourself to sleep. So taking yourself back to whatever it was that you did through those teenage years is certainly something that might work for you now when you're in that hormone turmoil as well. The other thing is, if you are feeling like really, really tired, avoid the naps. So the naps are a bit of a no-no. Just really try and keep yourself awake. The other thing is that for many of us, we use our phones as our alarms. So you want to make sure that you put your night filters on those, so that that light isn't disrupting you as well.
I think the other problem is too that a lot of people have those e-books now, or Kindles. So instead of reading from a physical book, it's another screen, and that's another screen that we shouldn't really have screen time for a certain period before we go to sleep, they suggest. But for those of us that do have an e-book, it makes it difficult if you want to have a read before you go to bed.
Here's the thing about book reading as well too, Sue. It shouldn't be done in bed, whether it's a paper book or whether it's an e-book. Find yourself that place. So, set up a beautiful chair for yourself That's your reading place. That's where you go to read, so that the bed is for sleeping in. So, and keep it that way, because that can even so slightly interrupt your sleep as well too. The other thing that I was going to mention was sunshine. I just looked out the window and it reminded me. We may not be getting enough sunshine as well. And so getting yourself out in the sunshine can certainly help then, because it's again coming back to that circadian rhythm. It's the light aspect of it that is going to help you when the dark comes, that you can sleep better as well. The other important thing is that we've probably got into the habit of waking and sleeping lightly. So what I started talking about earlier. And what we might do, and here's something that's interesting, because I know I caught myself on this, is I would wake up. And so I would wake up and I'd get up and go to the bathroom. Did I have a full bladder? Did I need to go to the bathroom really? No. Could I go to the bathroom? Yes, I could. But what would happen then is I got into this routine of getting up, going to the bathroom, getting up, going to the bathroom, getting up, going to the bathroom, so on and so forth. And so what you want to do is just lay there and ask yourself, do you really have a full bladder? Do you really need to go to the bathroom? Because if you don't, stay there. Just go back to that deep breathing cycle that we were talking about. And just allow whatever thoughts you have coming into your head to come into your head. If the thoughts are too much, get out of bed, go to the book, write down in your journal, and then just start that wind down process all over again. And let's try and break those patterns that we've got into, because most of what we do are just learned behaviours. They're patterns or routines that we've adapted. And so what we want to do is actually break those patterns. And the way to go about that is to start really connecting with yourself and questioning yourself, like I did there. It's like, I don't really need to go to the bathroom. What am I doing getting up? So I would just lay and do some deep breathing.
Yeah, no, that's been great. We've talked about a lot, and sleep is such a huge subject, and you could keep talking forever. But I think the point about connecting with yourself and just asking yourself why, perhaps we brush it off too, that we say, oh, I just didn't sleep well, or I don't sleep well, and not really take it to the next level of thinking, well, why am I not sleeping well? And
sorry, Sue, finish and then I'll jump in.
No, that's okay. You go.
Oh, no, it's a really interesting comment that you just made there. And it's one that I'm really extremely passionate about. I'm not a good sleeper. I'm not an exerciser. The stories we tell ourselves is what we are. So if we tell ourselves that we're not a good sleeper, then that's exactly what we're going to be. So what you want to do is flip the switch on the story that you're telling yourself. Tell yourself that you are a good sleeper. Tell yourself, I'm healthy, I'm fit, I'm active, all of those things. So whatever it is that you aspire to, keep telling yourself. Eventually, your mind will catch up with it and it'll start to believe you, and it will send you into action if you're not in action right now. So, yeah.
Well, that's a good point to finish on. So thank you for joining me again today, and this will be going up on the YouTube channel a little bit later on, but sleep is so important. Now, have you got any, I was just trying to think, have you got any documents on sleep that we could put a link to in your Strong Healthy Women? Or I can't think at the moment, but
I do have an ebook that I wrote on, I called it Eveningness, but I don't have a link for it. It was something that I shot out via email.
Oh, that's okay.
After an event. People could just email me if they want to, and I can send it to them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget to pop over to Strong Healthy Women, to women over 50, get active and healthy, the Facebook group of an afternoon, because you always have an interesting live TV there with Sal and other guests. So I'll put a link to that there as well, and then people can pop into the Facebook group and just see what you do.
Oh, please do. The other week we had on Anne Sinclair about gut health, and that was absolutely just a fascinating series. There were 4 in the series, and I'm really excited because I've got Angela Council coming on to talk about understanding menopause, and so it's really fascinating.
Okay. All right. Well, look, thanks so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to have you, and I hope that everyone can take away the points that we've discussed today, because if you don't sleep well, you just don't feel good, do you? And you can't live well if you're not sleeping well. It's as you said, as important as water, getting a good night's sleep. So thanks for that, Peter, and we'll talk to you again
My
soon.
pleasure. Okay. Thank you, Sue. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.